Hello Canada, welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, Alias Tagai. Well, the world is on fire. And I don't mean climate change fire, I mean sheer chaos. And the mainstream, of course, is doing what they do and hiding from you and lying to you on purpose to help spread fear, hate, and division, which obviously my viewers know. And if you are a new viewer, I urge you, like, share, and subscribe. And always check out my previous episodes. So we had a bombshell this morning drop. Israel just knocked out 6, what's so far unproven, but it sounds as though 6 of the head, very top of the food chain of Hamas have been bombed in Qatar. We're going to start with that story because, of course, this all dominoes down into our society, which I urge, if you're a new viewer, check out the previous episodes. This is why I get censored, because I'm sorry, so sorry. Just the truth, just the facts. And YouTube doesn't like that, nor does our government, who tells YouTube to censor me while promoting propaganda. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Now, from there, we're going to dabble into the chaos that's going around the world. Now, as you know, there is, well, Nepal is on fire. And mainstream is, well, lying to you, of course. They're saying that it's all because of social media. We're going to prove that wrong. And as normal, I'm going to weave all of these stories into the common thread. And today's is pretty much corrupt governments with the use of immigration destroying nations for their own wealth. Elbows up, everybody. Let's get started with what happened this morning.
Over the skies of Doha, smoke was visible from motorways crossing the Qatari capital. Fires broke out after explosions struck the city around midday. Israel quickly claimed responsibility.
At noon today, I convened the heads of Israel's security organizations and authorized a surgical precision strike on the terrorist chiefs of Hamas. These are the same terrorist chiefs who planned, launched, and celebrated the horrific massacres of October 7th.
Hamas officials said the buildings normally housed the group's negotiators in Doha, though it was unclear if they were occupied at the time. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he ordered the strikes in response to Monday's attack in East Jerusalem, which killed 6 people and was claimed by Hamas. His office stressed that Israel acted alone. But Israeli officials told reporters that former US President Donald Trump had given his approval for these strikes. Qatar, a close US ally, reacted sharply in a statement read on national television.
This criminal attack constitutes a flagrant violation of all international laws and norms and a grave threat to the safety and security of Qataris and residents of the state of Qatar.
Iran, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and the UN Secretary General also condemned these strikes. The US Embassy in Doha advised its citizens to shelter in place.
Now, let's hear exactly what Bibi said.
Yesterday, 4 of our soldiers were killed by Hamas terrorists in Gaza, and 6 Israeli civilians were brutally murdered in a bus stop in Jerusalem. This morning, Hamas proudly took credit for both of these actions. At noon today, I convened the heads of Israel's security organizations and authorized a surgical precision strike on the terrorist chiefs of Hamas. These are the same terrorist chiefs who planned, launched and celebrated the horrific massacres of October 7th, the savage murder of 1,200 people, the beheading of men, the rape and murder of women, the burning of babies, the taking of over 250 hostages, innocent hostages, grandmothers, grandchildren, Holocaust survivors. They perpetrated the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Now, they were meeting in the same place, exactly the same place, where they celebrated this savagery almost 2 years ago. At the beginning of the war, I promised that Israel would reach those who perpetrated this horror. And today, Israel and I have kept that promise. Now, much of the world, including much of the democratic world, or governments at least, have shamefully forgotten October 7th. But I don't forget, and Israel will never forget. Never. There was a time when Jews could be murdered with impunity, but since the founding of the State of Israel, those days are over. On this day, as in previous days, Israel acted wholly independently, and we take full responsibility for this action. And this action can open the door to an end of the war in Gaza. Israel has accepted the proposal put forward by President Trump to end the war, beginning with the immediate release of all our hostages, which have been held in the dungeons of Gaza for 700 days. If President Trump's proposal is accepted, the war can end immediately. We can begin once again to pursue the expansion of peace in our region for the benefit of all. But I want to close by directing my words to the people of Gaza. Don't be derailed by these murderous terrorists, by these killers. They don't care a hoot about you. They live in sumptuous villas. You can't imagine how sumptuous. Away from this battle scene. Their partners in Gaza don't worry about you. They go to the underground tunnels and they keep you above ground so you serve as human shields for them.
And by the way, as seen in the pictures, he's not lying. These people live in the lap of luxury. Watching supposedly the Palestinians that they love so much get used as human shields, fight for food, and live in filth and squalor. It's utter insanity.
Don't be derailed by these killers. Stand up for your rights and for your future. Make peace with us. Accept President Trump's proposal. Don't worry. You can do it, and we can promise you a different future. But you've got to take these people out of the way. If you do, there is no limit to our common future. Thank you.
Now, as we speak, Israel has cleared out, well, they've told pretty much everybody, get the heck out of Gaza. And they are dropping high-rises on top of Hamas. They know where they are because previous episodes, real Palestinians are actually telling them where they are. They're afraid to go out, which, again, previous episodes, they have gone out and protested, calling for Hamas to get out of Palestine, to stop the just sheer brutality and hate of what they are. Real Palestinians see what's going on, not these fake people you see on the streets in Canada and the States. These are all pro-Hamas. These are either people who have no idea of the truth. Sorry, just the truth, just the facts. They are living in a bubble, a dream world full of unicorn farts and Trudeauism. Lies perpetrated by mainstream to push fear, hate, and division. That's what propaganda does. And that's why I created this channel. To show the truth. Now, meantime, days before, what was our Prime Minister doing? Well, September 2nd, 2025, from the Prime Minister's office. Today, the Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke with the Emir of Qatar, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. The leaders discussed the rapidly deteriorating humanitarian disaster in Gaza. The Prime Minister thanked the Emir for his leadership and reaffirmed Canada's commitment to a two-state solution. An independent, viable, and sovereign Palestinian state living side by side with the State of Israel in peace and security. Prime Minister Carney noted Canada's intention to recognize the state of Palestine, at the 80th session of the United States General Assembly later this month. An intention that is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reforms. Those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it, or are purposefully forcing the people to relive the horrors of yesterday for profit, which is what our Prime Minister, the only thing he cares about, is the wealthy staying wealthy and getting wealthier. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care. And in the meantime, let's get down to Canada. Now, as usual, I post all the links to everything I have, and I urge all of my supporters and viewers to click on those links and watch these videos in their entirety. Pierre had a great presser this morning. I'm only going to play a little clip from it because it pertains to the mass immigration that the global elite is pushing on Canada. And it's not just Canada. The corruption is so deep, is so embedded within most liberal governments, if not all. And I can actually say all liberal governments in what you would call Western democracies have been completely contaminated. There are a few liberal parties that aren't necessarily in, the European Union, Canada, the States, who are actually doing good things. They're old school liberals, freedom of speech, no debt, but they're dying off because they've been taken over by this green religion that they're using to brainwash people into stupidity, into allowing them to take away all of our fundamental rights and freedoms in the name of climate change. Now, this one question, let's hear it out.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre. Mal Hamidi of the Canadian Press. Are you concerned that the consensus in Canada on immigration is slipping? And what would you do, what will you do as a opposition leader to address this issue?
Thank you. Very good question. It is really sad what has happened to the immigration system over the last decade. Before this Liberal government, there was a consensus. Canadians welcomed immigrants in generous numbers, but in numbers that we could absorb. We had enough housing, health care, and jobs for people who came in. Everyone integrated well, lived in beautiful neighborhoods side by side, all different faces from different places and races getting along in harmony. It's incredible to think, we had the system of immigration that was the envy of the world. Literally, other countries from all around the world said, how did Canada do it? 10 years of Liberal government, The rest of the world is looking at us and saying, how did the Liberals screw this up so badly? They've been adding people 3 times faster than homes and jobs, which has created shortages. They brought in too many too fast. They've allowed massive abuses of the international student, temporary foreign worker, and asylum claim system with rampant fraud that happened right under their nose. And as a result, our youth can't find jobs or homes. And so it is very sad that the Liberals have been able to destroy the system so badly in such a short time. Mark Carney promised to be different. Instead, he's worse. He's kept Justin Trudeau's immigration numbers. He's allowing corporations to bring in a record number of temporary foreign workers this year at a time when youth employment numbers are their worst in 3 decades. So while our young people can't find jobs, employers are able to exploit temporary foreign workers by giving them lower wages and terrible working conditions. Let me be clear. Immigrants are not to blame for this mess. They simply followed the rules that the Liberals created, or the lack of rules. They just want to have a better life. And in many cases, they are the victims of a system that abuses and rips them off at the same time as destabilizing our housing, job market, and social services. So the blame does not rest with immigrants or with the broader Canadian population. It is 100% the result of reckless and irresponsible Liberal decisions. Our approach will be to end the temporary foreign worker program so that Canadian jobs go to Canadian workers, to bring the numbers down, bring in the right numbers and the right people to fill jobs we actually need to have filled, for which there are no Canadians, to keep criminals out of this country by having stronger security standards at our borders, and always and everywhere to put Canada first in all of our immigration decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. That
right.
concludes
Thank
today's
you.
press conference.
Now, a very interesting, page was created from a patriot. And what it exposes is shocking. Now, it will be shocking to new viewers who have no idea what's going on. I've actually reported on this lots, but it's nice to see somebody actually put all the numbers and made this incredible site on Canadian immigration statistics. So this is an IMP, the TFWP, and study permit holders, individuals, as of the 31st of December. This is all, I've been going over these numbers for a day and a half here. Bang on. Bang on the money. And now you can look at the stats. Here at 2000, going all the way up, 2008, 2012. And you can see right here when Trudeau gets into power, it starts to launch. Now the kicker to this is, the blue is the temporary foreign worker program. The green is the study permits. And the red is the international mobility program. Check out the number. It is 3,126,000 and change people. That is since December till today. This is the 2024 numbers. The entire year, 2.7 million. Here we have from December till today, over 3 million. Now, again, I'll post a link. I urge you, go through this and check out these stats. Here we are again. Another graph breaking it all down, statistic-wise, from 2000 to 24. So, the guy or girl, whoever made this, they wanted to make sure that they could break this down so that you could actually see the contrast within the graphs. And then once again, here is the temporary foreign workers. And then check out the red, the International Mobility Program. Now, why is this the main hidden focus? What the media isn't talking about? Well, I'm going to show you why. And this is creating huge unemployment in Canada. So this is the hire a worker without an LMIA and about the process. This is the IMP International Mobility Program. The International Mobility Program lets you, the employer, hire a temporary worker without a labor market impact assessment. In most cases, you'll have to submit an offer of employment through the employer portal. After your part is done, the temporary foreign worker must apply for a work permit. Once you're temporary, it's like the slave trade. Listen to how it's even worded. Once your temporary foreign worker arrives, there are certain conditions and responsibilities that you must meet. If you don't, you could be issued a penalty. Right. The Temporary Foreign Worker Program is for hiring foreign workers who need an LMIA. If you're hiring a temporary foreign worker through the TFWP, you can find out more about that process. Again, I'll put the link in there. I urge you to cruise through the slave trade in Canada. This is ridiculous. This is the worst part about it is there are other businesses that aren't necessarily corporations that are falling into this, unaware of the damage that they are doing to their own country. There are a lot of companies, mostly small, that refuse to be part of this because they know the damage. It's obvious to them that why would I hire somebody else when I've got homeless who can't afford to eat or anything living in the streets? Why wouldn't I want my money to stay in the community and help build the community instead of putting more people out for me to save a couple dollars? There are people who have hearts, who have morals in Canada. But there's those that don't understand. And they're using this process so that they can make more money or stay in business and have a competitive edge to at least keep their doors open under the economic stress that they are under because of 10 years of socialist fascist rule. Back to this amazing site. So the study permits count in the year they became effective. Again, check out the growth rate. Trudeau gets into office, the Liberal Party, Carney's Liberal Party. Carney is all in on this, and they're trying to push right now how he's not going to meet. He's going to push away the green agenda, and they're creating, and now their own party is divided right now. They're going to form their own little green council, and to try and hold Carney to account to stay on this green track. It's all a lie, people. That is all bait and click. It's bullcrap. You ready? Are you ready? Get the ball. It's a distraction. Carney is the inventor of this Liberal Party. He created all of the policies for the last 10 years. Don't fall for it. It's all bullshit. All of it's bullshit. They're trying to destroy Western civilization for profit. This is mass socialism. And we're just gonna prove it. Now, media. They're doing the typical dog and pony show. This should be front page news.
And it was a daily occurrence that it almost didn't faze me.
Trevor Livingstone runs Livingstone Brewing in Franklin, Quebec, just a few kilometers from the United States border.
This is 3 days ago.
Those windmills are in New York State.
We're the most southern brewery in Quebec, which is a claim to fame to nothing.
He says he's had plenty of satisfied customers this summer, but he's also had dozens of visitors of another kind. People illegally entering Canada at irregular border crossings and ending up on his family's property.
This year has been insane. It's every day, all day, last couple months, non-stop people crossing.
Military-type helicopters flying overhead, a common sight. Livingstone and others are on a first-name basis with the many RCMP officers patrolling the area.
It's very common to see the RCMP picking up people on the side of the road, people hiding in the bush or on the side of the road, vehicles that are there to pick up people. It's daily this happens.
Photos and videos provide.
Now, this is propaganda as well. They're doing their job, but they're not.
Added to global news by neighbors who did not want to appear on camera show migrants in the woods last winter. Livingstone says people came to his aunt and uncle's house right next to the brewery.
And all of a sudden, a group of women were knocking on the window. And this was in the middle of the winter at a very cold night of like minus 20.
Livingstone understands that people are coming to Canada looking for a better life and sympathizes with the migrants. Many are women and children. Roxham Road was known.
Women and children. Many are women and children. They got to word it right because they can't necessarily be caught lying. Many. Really.
Known as the top irregular crossing.
Is that a woman or a child? Is that a woman or a child? Is that a woman or a
says
child?
At least then authorities were better set up to intervene.
Not like that. They're
How
just
about that
everywhere, crossing.
Now, I'm not saying that women and children aren't crossing too. They are. The majority of the people who are illegal, not irregular, they're illegal migrants. The vast majority of them are single white males.
Which is also unsafe for them.
In July, in nearby Hemmingford, at least a dozen irregular migrants were involved in a crash.
See, irregular. No. Illegal.
3 men are facing charges in relation to a truck intercepted in Stansted last month full of 44 migrants.
All men.
They're scared because...
The crash, all men. This is done on purpose, people. They were in the States because we were just bringing our own in, mostly men, through all of these programs. From the worst places, without vetting, on purpose. Now, because Trump's kicking some serious arse down south, all of those people who can are fleeing up here. And what's our government doing? Nothing. They want this, just like the Biden administration wanted it down in the States. It's for their corporate interest. They don't care about you. All they care about is money and power.
Residents in Vaughan are on edge after 3 separate shootings occurred at homes in less than 24 hours.
Vaughan, every day, I can go through and find a minimum of 20 different occurrences in which there are, we'll call, new Canadians, robberies, beatings, thefts, and this.
Police are still working to determine whether all shootings are connected. York Regional Police rushed to Pottery Place and Blue Willow Drive near Highway 400 at around 4:20 Sunday morning for reports of shots fired at a home. Shell casing markers could be seen on the ground outside the home hours later while police were on scene investigating. Around 25 minutes later, shots rang out again, this time near Via Romano Boulevard and Allison Ann Way, just west of Bathurst. 2 vehicles and a home sustained gunfire. And less than a day earlier, around 6:30 a.m. Saturday morning, another home was hit on Farrell Road. Police say a male suspect was seen fleeing in a dark-colored sedan. Luckily, no injuries were reported. However, police are still working to find out who's responsible.
At this time, we do believe that there is a dark-colored sedan in all three, and while we haven't yet been able to confirm that it's the same vehicle, we do believe that it is the same vehicle that has been used in all three of these shootings.
Police say they have been able to establish a connection between one of the shootings that occurred this morning to the shooting yesterday. All three.
Oh, so 4 shootings. Come on, news, do your frickin' job.
Locations are within 20 kilometers of each other.
We by no means believe that there's someone driving around shooting randomly at houses. However, we're still working to determine the motive behind all three of these shootings.
Residents in the Pottery Place area say this type of activity is unusual for the neighborhood.
That's unfortunate. Seems to be happening more and more lately. So, yeah, that's where do you go from here? But I don't remember being this nervous. But you have to be vigilant now. You have to keep an eye out.
Meanwhile, Vaughn.
Because the media doesn't show you. They try to hide this. You'll only find it on local TV, somewhere buried in near the back end of the show, and then they talk like they do. They don't really give you the truth about what's really going on. This is what's really going on.
Our roads, it's lack of roads.
Say Aussie, you say pride! Aussie! Aussie!
Thousands of Australians marched in cities across the country on Sunday to protest immigration. Rallies were organized by a group called March for Australia that calls for an end to mass immigration. In Melbourne, police deployed pepper spray on demonstrators as they clashed with counter-protesters. Several pro-immigration rallies were also organized by groups advocating migrant rights. The Australian government is slamming the protest, alleging them of promoting hate.
I see my family and my friends who are unable to find a rental. They can't afford their bills. Where do we stop here? Something needs to give, and if this is a show out that you can see, we all feel the same way. And
do you notice the flags? So they're going to label all of these Aussies as racists. Because what? Because they themselves can't afford to eat in heat. They're watching their children have no future. And in the meantime, what? You have the good people, the ones waving Palestinian flags, chanting, end a certain people off the planet and anybody else who doesn't believe in what they believe in. The extremist jihad. This is done on purpose. I urge you to watch the Liberal Party platform video I released a few weeks ago. Now, it's based on a report that I reported on, literally the day it came out, as one of the very first people to report on it. But it shows the truth of where these liberals around the world are trying to lead us. This is race wars created by governments, ran by corporations, for one explicit reason: total control. They can use this narrative to say that if you're against mass immigration, you have to be a racist, a misogynist, and all the rest of the typical turd carny words. This is happening in Canada. You're just not seeing it yet. It's coming. It's growing. It's festering. It's mostly seen quietly out west by the separation movement. Because for the most part, out here, we all believe Canada can't be fixed. There's no coming back. We saw it in the last election. They are fulfilling what they think is going to keep them in power, which is flooding Canada with migrants. This has been exposed. There is documents, there is piles of information that came out down south on how the Biden administration was trying to do this. They were purposely forcing states to take in migrants, larger numbers than states that were predominantly Democratic, in order to sway the election to stay in power. Canada's doing the same thing. And we literally saw it last election. Now, I created another channel. It's called Reality Revealed. I'm going to be posting all types of stuff on there that people need access to, they need to see. Especially a lot of the Senate hearings and committee type gatherings that the media uses video clips and sound bites of in order to lie to you, to push a narrative, to push an ideology. I'm going to give you all of them in their whole, so you have the ability to see the truth instead of what they want. Are you entertained? Or are you educated and informed? I urge you to subscribe and watch. I'll be posting my first video tonight, and I hope to have a pile of them on there. A full library, a cornucopia of knowledge. Moving on. Britain.
For months, anti-immigration protesters and counter-protesters have clashed across Britain. The chaos unfolding outside hotels used to house asylum seekers. The latest flashpoint, an asylum seeker staying at a hotel in Epping, just outside London, accused of sexually assaulting a teenage girl.
They're purposely showing angles, by the way. The one I just showed you, Australia, over 30-some thousand people. It wasn't thousands. It was tens of thousands of people. Britain, hundreds of thousands of people.
Concern over immigration beyond the realm of the far right to British voters' number one issue.
We don't feel safe. And, you know, we've got all... there's no families, there's no children. It's just all undocumented men.
Now, the man behind Brexit, Nigel Farage, commands the highest approval rating of any prospective leader, as well as his party Reform, despite holding just 4 of the 650 lower house seats.
Good morning, everybody.
And he's invoked Australia's border policy and his planned migration crackdown.
The precedent for this is Australia in 2012, where within 2 weeks of Tony Abbott taking the right actions, the boats stopped coming.
Promising to detain and deport all arrivals after numbers rose to record levels in the government's first year, despite this promise.
It's my plan for change.
This guy is such a waste of
skin. Take back control of our borders.
But a legal saga this week has plunged that plan into chaos. First,
it doesn't end, people. I bet you this is one you haven't heard.
Have you ever heard the word re-migration? In Japan, anti-immigration protests are now a stark reality, and this term seems to be a key talking point. Originally, re-migration was a social science concept that referred to an immigrant's voluntary return to their home country. But over the last decade, the European far right adopted the term and gave it a sinister twist. Now, they use it to refer to the mass deportation of immigrants, which many people see as a form of soft ethnic cleansing. In Japan, for instance, before the street protests, minority far-right parties used slogans like Japanese first, and their xenophobic rhetoric was so effective that even the governing party partially adopted it to win votes. In Poland, thousands also took to the streets in massive marches to support anti-immigration policies. In July 2025, the German AfD party removed this concept from their political platform. This might sound like a victory, but it was actually a strategy to soften their image after the massive protests in January, where Chancellor Friedrich Merz joined the marches against the deportation plans. On the other hand, it's true that Japan's popularity has brought a massive wave of tourists who don't know how to behave. This has led to Gion, Kyoto's famous alleyways, being closed to tourists due to the constant harassment of geishas. Similarly, at Mount Fuji, only 4,000 people per day are now allowed to visit, with a mandatory fee, and places like the Watatsumi Shrine have completely closed to tourists, fed up with graffiti and a lack of respect for priests. With xenophobic rhetoric becoming a global political tool, changes in immigration laws are inevitable. But what do you think about this? Have you ever heard the word...
This is happening all over the world. It's sheer chaos. Now, the media is doing this spin on what's going on in Nepal. They're trying to tell the public that this is all about social media. Well, as always, I'm here to show you the truth. Sorry, so sorry. Just the truth, just the facts.
Nepal is in flames. The streets are burning. Protesters are defiant, and it's quite clear that the government has lost control. What started out as anger over corruption and social media restrictions in the country has turned into a massive nationwide revolt against the political establishment. The Nepalese army chief and the president held urgent discussions on forming the next government after the Prime Minister, KP Sharma Oli, resigned, the capital resembling a battlefield. Those are the images on your screen. Crowds earlier set fire to the residences of the former Prime Minister and senior cabinet members, cars lying overturned, government buildings vandalized. Even Nepal's parliament building went up in flames.
This is the situation at the moment in Kathmandu Valley. I'm standing at the main road of the parliament. There is a parliament which has been set on fire. This is the motorcycle rallies that has been ongoing for celebration, and they're celebrating the resignation of the Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. And currently the army chief and the president are in talks to decide the further course of the government formation.
In fact, on Monday, police cracked down with force. Amnesty International saying officers used live rounds against the demonstrators there. The United Nations has demanded a transparent inquiry. At least 19 people have lost their lives, more than 400 injured. Despite indefinite curfews in Kathmandu and other parts, thousands of young protesters returned to the streets, clashing with the security forces in defiance.
Why is there so much anger here? The international media believes this is happening because social media is banned. But no, this frustration has been building for over 2 decades, fueled by corruption. Every one of us has had enough. These thugs have troubled us time and again, and what you see now is just a spark ignited by social media.
There you go. Corruption.
And back on the street, security forces were seen airlifting ministers from their residences.
They want you to believe it's just the youth.
Located in close proximity to Kathmandu, senior officials being sheltered at army barracks for protection.
Does that look like the youth? They're saying it's just kids. And it's all about social media. No, it's not. That is the ember that blew into a flame that has now ignited an entire nation against its government. Because everybody has been affected by the corruption. All it took was one match, and now they're in sheer chaos. They're burning their parliament to the ground. They want a complete restart.
Action. In a statement, the Nepalese army has said that it is fully committed to discharging its responsibility of safeguarding national independence, sovereignty, geographical integrity, national unity, and the security of the Nepalese citizens.
surrounding the parliament area. They burned the tires. They burned the tires here right in front of the parliament building. And now stone pelting has just begun from both the sides. Police officials are guarding the premises of the parliament. They say that the rising corruption and widening inequality has tortured the civilians of the country, and that's why all the people and the young people, they leave the nation.
Did you hear it? Corruption. They have seen their middle class completely decimated. Where have we seen that? Oh, right here. The largest separation, the largest gap ever between the wealth and the poor. The middle class is now the poor. There are nurses, construction workers, plumbers living on the streets because they can't afford a home. Elbows up.
What began as a peaceful protest against the corruption and misgovernance has quickly turned violent. The main federal parliament of Nepal building is on fire. The entire building has been set on fire by these protesters. The property has been completely damaged. As you can see, this is the entire building. And these protesters, you can see here, are also celebrating the decision of the Prime Minister.
Sure doesn't look like kids, does it? Not to say that there aren't the youth out there, but what's your media telling you?
KP Sharma Oli to resign. He has submitted his papers to the president, resigning from his position, compelling him after he lost his support not only among the public but also within his own government.
Now, what about France?
This Saturday saw widespread protests across France calling for Emmanuel Macron to resign. The country faces a debt crisis so grave the country could face an IMF bailout.
Well, wait a minute. What's our deficit this year? We broke $80 billion? Yeah. We're in how much debt? The Liberal Party in 10 years has spent more money than all governments since Canada's creation combined. Sound familiar?
To avoid this, the Prime Minister wishes to confront it with tax hikes and spending cuts.
Oh! Sounds a lot like Canada.
Notre pays est en danger parce que nous sommes au risque
Our country is in danger because we're at risk
but
of
Bayrou runs a minority government that
spending.
cannot push these measures through without support from other parties. They seem unlikely to come to his aid.
La France est en état d'asphyxie
France is in a state of
démocratique.
democratic asphyxiation to a level we never experienced under the
Un point
Fifth
que nous n'avions
Republic.
jamais connu sous la Ve République. Et en 8
In 8
ans,
years, this
cette
crisis of
crise de la
representation,
représentation,
this
cette
absence
absence
of
de
well-founded
légitimité
political
politique
legitimacy
structurante
caused by
organisée
the
par les
parties of
partis
the
du
system
système
has only
n'ont
worsened,
fait que
plunging the
s'aggraver,
entire nation into
plongeant la
uncertainty and
nation
anxiety.
entière dans l'incertitude et l'angoisse. Nous avons répété
We've
qu'il était
repeatedly said that it's
illusoire de
unrealistic to
prétendre
claim to our
résoudre
country's budget
l'équation budgétaire de
imbalance
notre
can be
pays
resolved
sans
without
s'attaquer
tackling the
aux quatre
4 major
grands
taboos.
tabous.
The stuff the media tries to purposely say, if you're against this, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a misogynist, they always, it's anti-Canadian to go against all of these.
Que sont
Immigration, the state
le train
spending
d'État,
habits, fraud
les
of
fraudes
all
de toute
kinds,
nature,
social
sociales,
tax
fiscales, à
import
l'importation,
cartels,
les
and
ententes,
so
et
on,
j'en passe,
and
et la
France's
contribution de la
contribution
France
to the
à
European
l'Union
Union,
européenne.
which is what Carney wants us to be part of.
Comment ose-t-il
How
encore dire
dare
au
the
peuple
Prime
dans ce
Minister
contexte
still tell the
que la
people
seule
in this
solution face à
context
toutes ces
that the only
gabegies,
solution
à
to
toutes
this
ces
waste, all this
absurdités
economic
économiques,
absurdity,
serait de les
would
faire
be to
payer,
make them pay
encore
again?
payer, toujours
To
payer.
always pay? like
À force de
Canada,
refuser toute
by
remise en cause du
refusing to
logiciel
challenge a
qui nous a
system
placés
that
dans la
has
crise
put us in
actuelle,
the current
démocratique,
democratic,
économique et
economic,
budgétaire,
and
ils
budgetary
sont en train de
crisis.
tuer à la
They
fois
are
les
killing
contribuables,
taxpayers,
l'économie,
the economy,
nos
our
institutions et
institutions,
notre
and our
démocratie.
democracy.
Voilà pourquoi Emmanuel Macron
This is why
et l'ensemble de ceux qui l'ont servi
Emmanuel
depuis
Macron, with all those who have served him since 2017, are
2017
undoubtedly the
sont
architects
indubitablement
and
les
artisans of the
et les
profound
artisans
crisis we
de
are
la profonde crise que
experiencing.
nous traversons.
I could feel that with Trudeau and the Liberals and Carney. It's the exact same. It's on purpose.
Voilà pourquoi l'urgence
Thus the
n'est pas
urgent
de
need to not
perpétuer par l'abstention
perpetuate
ou la
through
complaisance le
absentation,
mandat
but the mandate and powers of this government.
de ce
What
gouvernement.
France needs is to be
Ce dont la
immediately
France a
put
besoin,
back into
c'est
motion.
d'être immédiatement remise en mouvement.
Bayrou, Macron's sixth prime minister, looks set to fall today at a confidence vote he called, intending on forcing opposition parties to support him.
Tens upon hundreds of thousands of French have been on the streets protesting immigration. And then this happened today.
Voici le résultat du scrutin.
Here are the results of the vote. Number of voters, 573. Number of votes cast, 558. Absolute majority of votes cast at 280.
Pour l'approbation, 194.
For the approval, 194. Against, 364. The National Assembly has not approved the General Declaration of Policies. In accordance to Article 50 of the Constitution, the Prime Minister must hand in the government's resignation to the President.
Another puppet falls.
France's parliament brought down the government on Monday over its plans to tame the ballooning national debt, deepening a political crisis that is weakening the Eurozone's second largest economy. Lawmakers voted to oust Prime Minister François Bayrou and his minority government by 364 votes to 194. Bayrou will tender his resignation on Tuesday, his office said. President Emmanuel Macron, who is facing calls to resign, will instead hunt for his fifth prime minister in less than 2 years.
This guy is a waste of skin. He's a puppet. He's Carney's buddy. Same with Trudeau. Because they're all in cahoots. They don't care about you. They're pushing a dystopian future upon us for their own wealth and power.
His office said he would appoint one in the next few days. The next government's most pressing task will be to pass a budget, the same challenge Bayrou faced when he took office 9 months ago. Securing the backing of a very divided parliament will be equally hard for his successor. Bayrou had called the confidence vote to try to win parliamentary support for his strategy to lower a deficit that stands at nearly double the European Union's 3% ceiling, and to start tackling a debt pile equivalent to 114% of GDP. But opposition parties were in little mood to rally behind his planned savings of over $50 billion in next year's budget, with an election for Macron's successor looming in 2027. Macron may eventually decide the only path out of the crisis lies in calling a snap election, but he has so far resisted calls to dissolve Parliament a second time.
Because he doesn't want to lose power. They're too busy spending your tax dollars, their taxpayers' dollars, on the Green New Deal, which is lining the pockets of corporations. This is all part and parcel. All part and parcel. This is all part of what they learned, what they were taught at the World Economic Forum. This is what they're doing. And meanwhile, here in Canada, the city of Barrie has just declared a state of emergency.
To start by saying that we have had this conversation. I've had conversations with each individual member of council, and if I haven't been able to, our deputy mayor has, and we say this today with the full support of our team at City Hall. 6 years ago, on March 5th, 2019, I requested Barrie City Mayor and Council to declare a state of emergency to properly manage the opioid emergency and ancillary impacts of homelessness and lawlessness, but was ignored. During COVID, the City of Barrie decided it would create a sanctioned encampment at Milligan's Pond where those who were homeless were able to erect tents and further create a village. Alongside the existing encampments along Ann Street, there came a mass of people in corresponding tents and structures. While the sanction ended, the camping did not. Just over 2 years ago, Barrie City Council tried to bring more effective controls into the community to address rampant homelessness, organized criminal behaviors, drug use, and panhandling. Following activist intervention, Council decided to have faith and provide one more chance to local social services to get it right. Our faith has not been rewarded, and neither has the provinces. The province of Ontario responded to my request for more funding. We've had an 86% increase to homelessness prevention funding in this city. The average across the province was about 44%, I believe. New shelter funding that's going to be hitting in the next 2 months. Encampment cleanup funding that we have used. Heart Hub funding that is now currently being instituted.
You can't keep throwing money, taxpayer dollars, at a problem thinking it's going to fix itself. The immigration and overspending is caused all of this. This is all caused by the Liberals, the exact same people who have been in power for the last 10 years. Now the general has come out of the shadows and somehow won and is now in power. But instead they come up with brilliant ideas because they don't want people like myself, other podcasters, people on TikTok and all the rest of these platforms showing you the real evidence. So what do?
Everybody has a Ring doorbell camera.
There are 10 security cameras mounted outside of Dan Miles's Hamilton home. He says they've been a valuable tool for crime fighting.
I've actually participated in evidence sharing of 3 homicides on these cameras, over 40 break-and-enters, multiple home invasions.
The cameras, Miles says, haven't prevented crime in the neighborhood, but they've helped with investigations.
I've given up over 40 videos to the Hamilton Police Services themselves, who have come here in person and asked me for them.
Including this one, shared also with Global News, multiple angles of an alleged serial killer.
Sabrina Kuldar was behind that fence right there, where that sign is on the corner of it.
And shots of a 77-year-old man just before his death. So it came as a surprise when the city of Hamilton asked Miles to remove all of his cameras, citing this fortification bylaw, which prohibits homeowners from viewing or listening beyond the perimeters of their property.
Well, when people try to break in your home and your cars and all that kind of stuff, or they're killing people, it's a good thing to have it on video so you can at least go after them in somehow.
At nearly every press conference, police make a point of asking the public for help, specifically requesting dash cam or home surveillance images. Well, here in Hamilton, police tell us they rely on CCTV images from residential and commercial buildings in order to solve crimes.
Like this video showing the moments before a fatal crash that led to a dangerous driving conviction.
The crash investigator actually just messaged me, emailed me, and said, without your video, we would have had nothing. Thank you so much.
Miles appealed the order from the city, then Monday morning received word he may be exempt after all, provided he can get a letter from his landlord, letters from his neighbors, screenshots from cameras.
Some sort of proof of police or criminal activity in my neighborhood. Now, I don't know how else to provide any evidence of criminal activity other than videos of 3 homicides.
As for the City of Toronto, well, there is no bylaw that exists similar to the one here in Hamilton, simply best practices to follow. Things like, of course, taking into account the privacy of your neighbors when putting up surveillance cameras at your home. Back to you.
Now, obviously, you don't point your camera into your neighbor's backyard without his permission. That's not what this guy is doing. This guy has got cameras, and as most people do, in fact, everybody that I know of and I've seen that have been part of solving these crimes and exposing what's really going on out in the streets and in our homes, thanks to all of this immigration nightmare that we're living under, And the revolving door allowing criminals, Canadian criminals, born and raised Canadians, as well as the immigrants and the rest of them, to just get out of jail and repeat offend. They point them in public spaces. They point them in areas that aren't infringing on somebody's privacy. You're in public. Whoever is part of this bylaw should be fired immediately. This is Hamilton. They are trying to pass legislations like this in cities all over Canada. There's only one reason they would do this, and it's to hide the truth. And what's worse is that in the same insane world that these people thrive in, it creates even more fear, hate, division, and chaos, which is their end goal. They don't care about you. Yes, we have an immigration problem in Canada. The vast majority of, well, almost every democratic nation with a new liberal style government following in, and this is how you can tell the difference, is that Democrat, liberal, whatever, socialist party pushing the green ideology? Because if they are, guaranteed, they're doing what our Liberal Party is doing. They are destroying the fabric of our nation. If they're not pushing a green agenda, lo and behold, they have good immigration stats, their economies are doing well, they're not falling into mass debt, they're not changing laws to allow the revolving door of crime, they're not trying to take away your firearms. In fact, they're doing the exact opposite. Kind of like how liberalism used to be in Canada before it was taken over by these leftist loonies. Unbelievable. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sorry I took a few days hiatus. I had some serious issues. I've got like car problems and just some farm problems, and then of course this new channel, and I got clothing line, and then we had some serious power outages, and like I'm talking, we had like, they said they're working on the power, and I come home and my pump is sounding like it's having a wail for a baby. It can't run. Here I'm getting half of my power. One side's coming in 110 through the 220, and it's like, so I got like freezer issues, and of course nobody's gonna pay for this. I have to pay for this, right? Yeah, interesting. Check out my new channel, Reality Revealed. I will be posting, like I said, my first video tonight, and then I'm going to just keep posting more and more to just keep people in the now, just the truth, just the facts. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you can, donate to the email. If you can't, buy some clothing. Wicked merch, awesome clothing at the store. Great way to support the channel, as well as like, share, and subscribe. And if you are, punch that notification bell. Not only helps me grow the channel, you won't miss any future episodes. Until the next time, I'm Alias Tagay. This is the Canadian Citizen Journal. Stay informed.